My name is ADAEZE, and I am here to tell you my story. I never knew life in the city could sometimes be a difficult one. I allowed greed to overtake me, and now I am living with regrets. Stay tuned and listen to my story. You will enjoy it. The Fall of ADAEZE. The sun hung low in the evening sky, casting long shadows over the sleepy village of Cheese. The air was thick with the scent of roasting yams and palm oil stew as women bustled about in their kitchens, preparing the evening meal. Laughter and chatter echoed through the thatched huts, and the sound of children playing in the village square filled the air. In the heart of Cheese, nestled between ancient palm trees, stood the modest hut of Neka, a respected widow and the mother of ADAEZE. ADAEZE was the pride of the village, a beauty with skin as smooth as freshly pounded fufu, eyes that sparkled like the morning dew, and a smile that could calm the fiercest storm. She was known for her virtue, a girl untouched and unspoiled, destined to marry a wealthy man who would shower her with love and riches. But fate had other plans. A promise of a better life. ADAEZE grew up under the strict guidance of her mother. Neka, though poor, had raised her daughter with discipline, teaching her the ways of the Igbo woman. How to cook, how to respect elders, and most importantly, how to preserve her purity. Every young man in the village longed for her, but Neka was quick to remind them that ADAEZE was meant for someone special. Then came Obiora. Obiora was different. He was not from Cheese but from the bustling city of Lagos. He arrived in a flashy car, his pockets heavy with money, his words smooth like palm wine. He was Neka's distant relative, but more importantly, he was a businessman looking for a wife. He spotted ADAEZE fetching water from the stream one afternoon and was immediately smitten. "You are too beautiful for this village life," he told her one evening as they sat under the udala tree. "A girl like you should be living in a fine house, wearing the best clothes, eating the best food." ADAEZE giggled shyly, flattered by his attention. No man had ever spoken to her like that before. "I will take you to Lagos," he promised. "There, you will see what life truly is." At first, ADAEZE was hesitant. She loved her village, loved the simple life she shared with her mother. But Obiora was persistent, and soon, his words began to take root in her heart. The thought of leaving the village and living in a world of luxury was tempting. One evening, she approached her mother. "Mama, Obiora has asked me to go with him to Lagos," she said cautiously. Neka frowned. "And what will you do in Lagos?" "He says he will marry me," ADAEZE said, her voice filled with hope. Neka sighed deeply. "ADAEZE, my daughter, city life is not for everyone. Many girls have left this village for the city and never returned the same." But ADAEZE was already enchanted by Obiora's promises. Against her mother's wishes, she packed her belongings and left Cheese, her heart filled with dreams of a better life. Betrayal and desperation. Lagos was everything Obiora had promised and more. The streets were filled with flashing lights, towering buildings, and cars that never seemed to stop moving. At first, ADAEZE was overwhelmed, but she quickly adjusted. For the first few weeks, Obiora treated her like a queen. He bought her new clothes, took her to expensive restaurants, and showered her with gifts. But then, things changed. One evening, Obiora returned home drunk, his eyes dark with anger. "You eat my food, wear the clothes I buy, yet you do nothing," he spat. ADAEZE was confused. "I thought you brought me here to be your wife." Obiora laughed bitterly. "Wife? You are not ready to be a wife. If you want to live in this house, you must start contributing." It was then that ADAEZE realized the truth. Obiora had never intended to marry her. He had brought her to Lagos for something else entirely. That night, he introduced her to a woman named Mama T, a brothel owner who dressed in extravagant jewelry and reeked of expensive perfume. "She will take care of you," Obiora said. Before ADAEZE could protest, Obiora had left her in Mama T's care. The fall. At first, ADAEZE resisted. She refused to sleep with men for money, refused to let go of the values her mother had instilled in her. But Lagos was a cruel city. Days passed, and she had no food, no money, and nowhere to go. Mama T warned her that if she did not start working, she would be thrown out. Hunger broke her. The first time was the hardest. She closed her eyes and let herself become someone else, someone who was not ADAEZE, the village virgin, but ADAEZE, the Lagos prostitute. One man became 2, then 3, and soon, she stopped counting. The years passed, and ADAEZE became one of the most sought-after girls in Lagos. She learned how to dress, how to speak, how to attract the wealthiest men. The innocence that once defined her was long gone, replaced by a hardened woman who had seen too much, lived too fast, and lost too much. But despite the money, the clothes, and the luxury, there was always a void in her heart. She missed her mother, missed the smell of roasting yams, missed the laughter of the children in the village square. The return. One evening, ADAEZE stood by her window, watching the city lights flicker like fireflies. A deep sadness washed over her. She could not do this anymore. The next morning, she packed her bags and left Lagos. The journey back to Umachi's was long, but when she arrived, she felt like a stranger. The villagers whispered as she walked past, their eyes filled with judgment. She found her mother sitting outside their hut, her once black hair now streaked with grey. When Nneka saw her daughter, tears filled her eyes. "Mama," ADAEZE whispered, falling to her knees. Nneka did not speak. She simply pulled her daughter into her arms and wept. ADAEZE had returned, but she was no longer the girl who had left. She was broken, scarred by the city, haunted by the choices she had made. And though she had escaped Lagos, she knew that the past would always follow her, a shadow she could never outrun.